Sports games have come a long way since the 8-bit days, but when you're playing modern sports games, Maddens, your FIFAs, the show, it feels like something's been lost, doesn't it? Don't get me wrong, these annual releases, even if they are, rinse and repeat year after year, they are really deep simulations, complicated simulations. And sometimes when they step out of their comfort zone, they can do things that are really cool. Like MLB The Show 23. I've got a whole video about how much I love that game. I'll put a link right there, or maybe right here. But again, even when those modern games are at their best, there's still something that I miss about the 18 and 16-bit games. That's why as soon as I heard about Legend Bowl being the spiritual successor to Tecmo Bowl, I was interested. And after playing it for dozens and dozens of hours over the past week or so while I was previewing it, I can honestly say that this is the spiritual successor to Tecmo Bowl. And more. And that's what makes it really special, the and more. Legend Bowl is the perfect blend of fun, fast, arcade gameplay with some of the simulation things that you expect from games like Madden. Now, before we get into the details, I want to thank Top Hat Studios for sending me a review copy. All right, enough intro. This is my review of Legend Bowl. Developed by the team at Super Pixel Games and published by Top Hat Studios, Legend Bowl is finally making its debut on consoles. The PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox S and S, the Xbox One, and finally the Nintendo Switch. The game's been out for a little while on Steam. Personally, I think a game like Legend Bowl is perfect for the Switch, and not just because this is a Nintendo-focused channel. I've got a PS5, I've got an Xbox, but this game feels like a Nintendo game. I mean, it's a throwback to the glory days of the NES, and the portability factor for a game like this is huge. This is the kind of game that you'll want to pick up and play anywhere, anytime. The pixel art is fantastic, and I just think that it looks amazing on the OLED screen. As retro as it looks, Legend Bowl is a surprisingly comprehensive modern simulator. Right from the start, Legend Bowl was one of those games that I just couldn't pull myself away from. There are several different game modes: exhibition, franchise, tournament, and practice. After a couple of exhibition games, I started franchise mode, and that's where I spent most of my time. In franchise mode, you pick one of 32 teams and play through a 17-week schedule on the road to the Legend Bowl. Win or lose at the end of the season, you can start a new one and try again. Now, the teams aren't officially licensed NFL teams, but I think that's okay. They do a really good job being creative with these teams. And I think ultimately, you don't have real players, you don't have real teams, so it gives the game some staying power. It's not going to feel dated in a year or two. Although, I think I saw one quarterback's name was Thom Brady. I don't know, maybe that was just a coincidence. Anyway, at the end of each week during the normal season, you'll get a quick news roundup from around the league, and occasionally you'll have the opportunity to grab new players from the player wire. But building up your franchise is about more than just the players on the field. It's about the stadium too. One of the really cool things about this game is you can upgrade the stadium with things like ice cream machines to get the fans more invested in the team. Between seasons, you can recruit players, manage retirements, take part in a draft, just all these things to build the perfect team. And listen, you'll want to spend time building the perfect team. Legend Bowl is much tougher than you might expect. A sloppy pass in double coverage can easily mean a pick six. I mentioned the teams earlier. Again, we don't have any licensed NFL teams, but what we have are these 32 fictional teams with totally unique logos and mascots, stadiums, players, you name it. They're really imaginative. For my playthrough, I went with the Tennessee Kings. When I was playing, it was all the little things that kept catching my attention, like the team logos or the weather effects, the chain gang that actually comes out on the field and measures really close first downs. Advertisements. Just the fact that the goalpost nets go up and down depending on whether you're going to kick a field goal or not. It's all of these little things that make Legend Bowl much more than just a retro-inspired football game. It's these little things that show how much heart the devs at Super Pixel Games put into it. It's all of these little things that add up to a really immensely immersive football experience. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We are on the road to 900 subs. All right, back to the review. So there's a ton to keep you busy off the field, but the real guts of the game is what happens on the field, obviously. Right off the bat, from the orientation of the field, you'll notice that Legend Bowl looks more like a Madden game than Tecmo Bowl. Remember, Tecmo Bowl showed you the field horizontally so you could see players like all up and down the field. It was more like how you watch football on TV. Legend Bowl orients the field vertically, putting you behind the line of scrimmage and filling the entire screen with the width of the field. Personally, I really like seeing the field vertically. It makes completing passes and running the ball much more realistic. You're looking down the field like an actual quarterback would. Another thing I want to point out about the gameplay is how the players feel to control. Even though they're just pixel art, each player has some heft. When you're playing, they have momentum. When you hit somebody, it feels kinetic. The controller's vibrations help a lot here, but I think even without them, it feels like these players have weight. Unlike some other retro football games I've played over the years, in Legend Bowl, you're play calling and playing the offense, defense, and special teams. Going back and forth between the different teams is one of the most complicated aspects of the game for me, though. That's because your controls change pretty drastically depending on what side of the line of scrimmage you're on. You're almost certain to miss a tackle at a key moment because you forgot to hit the right button. A simpler game would have a one-button tackle, but Legend Bowl gives you a button for shed blocking and two different ways to take down a runner, a dive and a grab tackle. And in the heat of the moment, you're gonna accidentally hit a grab tackle and totally miss the guy. As a ball carrier, there's a button for sprinting, one for diving, one for spinning, a couple for different stiff arms on either side. There's a huddle button, a couple of different buttons for juking in either direction, and a shoulder charge button. It is a lot to keep in mind. And that's just thinking about what happens after the snap. There's a lot to remember. This is definitely one of those games that you'll want to spend some time with the tutorial. So go through the training camp and really commit to learning how to play. The training camp gives you a lot of different types of drills that really get your thumbs moving and help you concentrate and commit to memory how to do these different moves. But ultimately, listen, you're gonna forget what some of the buttons do, and even in some of the dialogue in the training camp, it jokes about it. So don't beat yourself up too much. Some of it can be a little button mashy when you first start, but you'll get better. It takes time to master the controls, but the more you play, the more comfortable you get, the more fun it is. I know customization is a huge thing for a lot of gamers. For me, I don't care that much about it, but if it's important to you, there's a ton to love here. You can customize your players' face, their hair, their facial hair, helmets, equipment, the color of their uniforms, just a lot of customization options if that's what you're into. You know, after all this time, I still can't believe that the Switch doesn't have a decent trophy system. But Legend Bowl has more than 100 different achievements to keep things interesting season after season. So maybe you're not getting anything through the system itself, you can't show it off to other people on the Switch, but you can start to knock off some of these achievements one by one. Some of them are easy to tick off when you first start the game, like, hey, you completed a run, awesome, you completed a pass, great. But others are more challenging, like winning the Legend Bowl without a star quarterback. Okay, so I've just gone on and on about how much I love this game and how in-depth it is. And I really do love it. I think it's one of the best indies of the year. But huge gripe for me, where's the online multiplayer? Legend Bowl feels like the perfect game for some really cool competitive online multiplayer. I mean, can you imagine building a franchise over multiple seasons and playing against your friends? I don't know, maybe it's not even possible, but I was a little disappointed that there doesn't seem to be a way to even play exhibition matches online. Maybe that's something they can patch in later, or maybe it's not even on their roadmap, but I think that's a miss. I really only have one other complaint about the game. Out of the dozens of hours I've spent with this game over the past week or so, I had 3 game-breaking bugs. After the snap, the kicker becomes invincible somehow, but he also can't move. So Like the screen just turns into a massive dog pile where everybody's just, they've broken their position. They don't care about the man coverage anymore. They're all trying to tackle this single kicker, but he can't move and he can't be hit. Well, you can't end the play because the runner can't go down. He can't move, so he can't score. The game clock doesn't expire because the play's not dead. So 3 different times I had to restart and lost a decent amount of progress. Like I said, it's only happened 3 times in many, many hours, but it's worth mentioning. So to wrap things up, if you're a fan of those retro sports games like Tecmo Bowl, Legend Bowl is right up your alley. You're gonna love this game. There's so much here. It's so much more than just a Tecmo Bowl clone. It gives you a lot more simulation, a lot more freedom, and I think it's just a lot of fun. If you played Legend Bowl on Steam, or if you picked it up since you've seen this review, let me know in the comments what you think. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing.
Oh, yeah.